Hi everyone, it's Veronica here, Bartolini with Codebreaker Real Talk, and I got a special guest, Mr. Tom Althouse, and we got
Yay.
Chad, we got Chad Cooper and Celeste. She made it back. She made it back.
I'm back, y'all.
Hi, Celeste.
I'm fucking back.
Yep.
Yeah, we got you back, girl. So Tom, how's it going?
Yeah. We've got him on the run. I know that. I spent some of the taxpayers' money yesterday, I confess, because they flew a helicopter for half an hour over top of my roof. And that takes a lot of fuel. So I have some great footage. I went out one point, videoed it, just the black helicopter with fins, and then came out later and videoed again. So it was, yeah, I'm spending taxpayers' money just by speaking up.
And I'm glad you're back, guys. Thank you, Tom, for being here again. Last show, Chad was trying to get something out. Like, I don't know how many times we tried and it didn't work. And finally, I kind of relayed the message to Tom, but then I want it to be said here online. So, Chad,
Right.
do you kind of remember what you want to say? Thank you.
There it goes again. Oh my God. I know it's important, but we can't hear it.
Chad, we can't hear you. You're muted.
I muted myself.
There you go. Okay.
So I don't want to offend the general public in saying this, but in general, in the public, there's an attention deficit disorder is what I've noticed. And I'm unique in some ways, but in one way that I'm extremely unique is I cannot move forward in a conversation or in text, anything, unless all words connect.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't the necessary general truth for the general public. I have family members that have gotten their majors in topics such as physics or something, and now physics is proven to be a conspiracy theory. It was not real. There's another truth to what physics are. And as an example, they did do a show one time, I think a test where they had a professor or somebody that was an actor who was pretending to be a genius stand up in front of a room full of an audience and give a dissertation about his whatever it was he was giving it in front of these elite and all these academics. Mm-hmm. And he got a standing ovation at the end of it, and not a single one of his words connected.
Mm-hmm.
He just sounded like what he was talking about. So when they accuse Tom of mumbling, it's because Tom's intellect, he can talk very fast, but I'm sorry, all your words connect. I've listened to your interviews and I've gone back and listened to them 5 times, more sometimes, and all your words have always connected. So for them to accuse you of mumbling is actually, you're making perfect sense. All your words connect. It's the ADD that's out there in the general public that can't follow that necessarily from the beginning to the end, because they like to jump around a little bit. So you're not mumbling.
Thank you.
Yeah,
the talking points too. They put talking points onto the which is one of the talking points, mumbling, and they have high ups levy it. So Trudeau, his top attorney general equivalent, was the one that was saying too in a written letter, all he did was mumble. All Tom did was mumble for 2.5 hours and made no coherent sense at all. And it's like, this while they're at the hearing saying, you're well-spoken, we had a lot to think about, you gave us a lot to think about, and we're going to take it in summation for about a month because we really have to weigh all these things out. We thought it would be just a blanket decision, but you really made us open our eyes. How did you end up with mumbling afterwards? And why would you take 2.5 hours? But that is their talking point. And they use talking points in general public, and then the public's supposed to be very simple, like the Truman Show, where if the channel changes, they go, "What's on next?" or "What else can we watch?" They're not tuned into the fact checking or the by and large the fact checking or actually seeing what's there. They let others give their opinion for them, and it needs to stop. It really needs to stop. So I appreciate you saying it.
It's like the talking heads, some people will. There's a reason why the little TikToks, or we'll say the stories on Instagram, are so fast, because first of all, we that do, like Tom says, layer thinking, and we can just even if we're talking over our each other here, we totally grasp everything. And because we're telepathic, right? But there's a reason why they have that. Sometimes I find that some people in general and in like the public or YouTube, they'll do like some topics, but they really don't get into them because they're just like bobbleheads, like talking heads, like they're just repeating stuff. And now Chad said ADD, and you guys can go back to the last video I made, but I put this one. She said her kids have ADD. I said all different daddies. Of course, you're probably not gonna see it, right? But
Yeah.
it's like a little joke.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you guys. But yeah, it's anyway, it's the what I call the entities of the dark crystal that Celeste and I were talking about, trying to get us to go back and be attached to the darkness, you know. And my whole thing, thank you, Celeste, for helping me earlier today. We're talking, it's like, why do I have the Thor hammer? It's because, and you guys, we all have our different tools, and it's because I'm chipping away those souls that have sold their souls, whether by trickery, sometimes in their dreams they're being tried, you know, like last night they were trying to get me into a senior citizen home without my kids, and then having me write my name in red in the computer by showing me a very beautiful pool, because they know I love water. It was like an ocean water on top of the, oh, I forget that I have this thing in the back. It's not gonna let me show. But they know I love water. So I'm like, nope, I return to sender, sending these to the highest courts to be judged, rescinding, breaking all contracts. We're not gonna go back to what this dark entity crystal wants, you know. So here we are chipping away, or, you know, Celeste has a bow and arrow, right? And we're taking our soul aspects back for us to integrate for our own, and then we're helping others. So does that make sense?
Yeah. One of the things they've done with the public is they removed accountability. And so everybody gets to be a judge on anyone who's bringing forward truth or stories or facts or evidence. Everybody gets to be a free-for-all judge, and there's no accountability for them to do it. And so it becomes like this event or this entertainment event where the public gets to be part of, and they're not accountable for anything to do or say. It becomes free. It's like back to stoning or throwing potatoes and cabbage at somebody on the stage. And it's like they are getting to do it, and they're getting used to it, and they're getting used to that kind of feeling of power and freeing. And so it's like really the audiences are now conditioned to be vigilantes, basically, to be people who disrupt and then encouraged to do it. And then there's pats in the back, and you get feeds on that get a lot of counts and views if you are involved in disruptive behavior. And it's so they've conditioned the public to be a mob, basically, is what they're doing for their own use, and to shut down anybody who would be coming for the truth. Then they use their finger and point at anybody and say, there's a bad person, there's a bad person, there's a bad person. Have at them. And you can release all your stress, you can have fun, you can do whatever you want to that party. It's like ancient Rome, like I said, do every harm you can to that individual as citizens. And it's amazing what we've de-evolved into as a society. And that is what's happening in our world right now. So they've harnessed the public, and the public doesn't realize they're harnessed for their purposes to do harm and evil. And then they dole out rewards for those that do the most. That's what we are at. And, you know, there was a case, I just was sent a feed recently, and I appreciate it, with a 25-year-old who was brutally beaten in South America, I think it was. And the Justice Department will do nothing about it. And there was the pack of 6 or something that got away with it and was bragging about what they did, and got to do publicly, you know, drink and boast about what they did. And the FBI sanctioned it. And it's like, that's exactly what happened in my situation, where family members are brought in and rewarded to bring you down and to do every harm possible, and then brag about what they got away with. So my heart goes out to that individual that and her family that is still seeking justice. And they have attorneys and everyone else working for them that still are not getting justice.
We'll have to go and free that entity in the astral and in our subconscious, in our mind, like even just before we go to sleep, just go out there and put out the protective power and help that individual. Go ahead, Chad. Thank you, Tom.
You know, Tom, I'm glad you brought up that point about the core group that I mentioned before, the salt and the earth, the that I believe we're fighting for. That part of the population, I'm curious about your feelings on it, because the way it feels right now is that the other side has influenced them through the medias and through the social engineering and all of that stuff. And so what we're trying to do is through winning your case, is bring forth a new perspective to sway the masses into the right direction, and start to manicure the generations and everything into the that come after that. Because the only other way that I see around this is reset, a small little reset, because it is to the point where some of the points they have made, like people won't listen, it does kind of feel that way sometimes. The more you try to have your conversation with people and they don't listen, mine in particular. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, I do believe we're going to try and sway them in one direction if you win, but otherwise it feels like reset, like it's just too far gone.
Right. Well, as far as winning,
Or
one of the things I was
something
saying
major.
online was that to win, to really win, you have to work outside the confines of their defining of what winning is. You have to create outside the box all the areas they've covered illegally to keep you from maneuvering. You have to win on the outside of those parameters. And so, and that's, again, thinking outside the box. So it's like, that's what we're going to aim for, winning outside what they've thought they had all controlled and stopped, like water flowing away around all the rocks they stacked against us. And so with the evidence we have, that flows with that water, and we can break it open, break the dam open. And I'm noticing too, the efforts on children. Children, they have not been programmed totally, young children. And so they have to keep two things in place. One is to keep the children indoctrinated the way they want to indoctrinate them as soon as they can at young ages. They also have to make sure that the children are entertained and wowed into wanting to be with them and their way of thinking, and allowing them to maintain the powers to be, their influence and power. And so there's this paradigm or this setup that's there that needs to keep functioning for the machine to work. And so what you have is those of us that are artists and inventors and creative, mystical thinkers, like we all are in this room, we present a problem for the established powers, because we could be interesting is one thing. We could be enticing. We could be, I'm not trying to compliment ourselves. I'm just trying to say that this is the way they look at it. What do they say? You could win the chess game because you could have more desirable appeal or influence. Will then follow that, where we could influence a world. They know they're not that exciting, the other side that controls the strings right now. They know they're not interesting, they're boring, they're not, if it was a speed date, they wouldn't be the ones that we selected, they'd be get rid of really fast and as undesirable. So they know that they're dealing with what they consider the winning stock, and they don't know what to do with that. And they're desperately failing. Their also big fear is that others are going to switch up and join people like us, our side, because we're more interesting, more stimulating. They want to be stimulated. That's how they condition the public. Be stimulated, be stimulated. And so individuals that can elicit that kind of effect, where people feel stimulated being in your presence. Each of you here are very dynamic, charismatic people. So it's like, I enjoy being in your presence. Therefore, I know that you would be stimulating to the general public. And so that's a big fear of the establishment, is that, it's almost like being in a crowded room. Who are you going to go see? Jerry Maguire. Who is going to want to see, talk to you? Who's want to go up to you and see you and talk to you if they had a choice of anybody in the room? And so they deny us the room. They deny us that access or that platform that we could be seen, where the public has a choice to go to us. And that's why all the shadow banning and everything. Now, I covered a lot of ground really quickly. I did an overview over Breeze, but I'm talking on a higher level now, where I'm talking to people that are smart. So I'm not dumbing it down right now. I'm going on a layered approach right now to what we're looking at. And I think that's why we can break through. It's going to take people that are smart to break through. But anyway.
Thank you, Tom, when you said go outside, we actually do. And what I saw is us being out in the astral, like even way above their AI, all the webs that they have on this supposed protected, we are the true love and light. We are the true winners. We, you know, and they're just, I see them and they're just like this. They're just like mundane. Like every day they have to go and praise this machine and they're so mad and, you know, sad and they just, the only thing that keeps them want to be chipper is, ooh, what's the next gossip? What, okay, who else do we have to entangle into our group, or who else do we have to send the black magic? You know, it's like, nah, you guys have this thing that they think they have this thing that's protected. Well, guess what? They're actually putting chains on themselves. That's how I see it. And now when you said about the water seeping in, I see it like a cell, like a round cell, that they think that they're protected, but we're over here watering, seeping, watering, breaking apart, all that. It's like we are the protein of the cell. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like that.
We are the life. And I'm not here saying that, oh, we're better than you. No, I'm just stating the facts. We are the love. We are here to help humanity. We are here to stand our ground, and hopefully they'll chip away from those chains and come back. Wake up. Go ahead, Chad. Thank you.
With you saying that, because I've been listening to things like I listened to a defector of North Korea and the story of what goes on there. I think her name is Naomi Park or something like that. She gives a wonderful story, but it's disheartening because it gives you a flavor of what humanity is like, and some of the undercurrents. You know, the farmers that are taking and doing the human trafficking from, you know, instead of rescuing these people that are defecting over and stuff like that. So there's definitely a dark history to humanity. If you look at Grimm's fairy tales, I mean, it just seems like we come from pedophilia and human trafficking and all these stuff, and that we've been fed this other story through Hollywood, you know, this Leave It to Beaver type scenario. But what I think is we're a planet of many things, but what's stepping forward now is compassion and humanity. Yes, there's all these evil things on the earth trying to take over, but I feel it's our chance to step forward, and that's what we should fight for. I don't want to say the whole world is beautiful and all of humanity is amazing. That's going to be a process in the future, but right now I feel like we need to separate and take control, you know, those of us with the compassion and those, or that, you know, the interest and the love.
Yes.
Because it's not in everyone.
Right.
Or it's been buried in them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they try to put us into an emergency mode where it's like, get in the bunkers, heads down, everybody get your family protected. And it's very interesting. They're always trying to keep the panic up, you know, the red, blue, green, whatever level of alert and danger and stuff like this. And they don't want us to be freed up. What they don't understand is our patience. They don't understand that we're patient, that it's like if we're on a soccer field and I'm about to shoot the goal, instead of shooting the goal, I'm knowing, and they know that I know that I got something better going on, that outside the stadium, they're being arrested. It's like they don't understand layered thinking or all the processes going on that we have patience with, where they react immediately, always knee-jerk reaction, very predictable. They react almost like a machine, instantly reacting to the input. And it's really one of their big weaknesses. Although they have a lot of power, they think, they are also susceptible to humanity's design, which is desiring for themselves. They are set on this idea. The phrase they keep saying is, what's in it for me? I hear that all the time. But humanity needs to shed that thought process. We need to get rid of the what's in it for me. And I'm not going to say the trite thing of us. I'm going to say we need to be free to better ourselves, free to make our own choices, free to contribute to all humanity evolving and having peace and joy. And one of the things that bothers me in this country right here that goes along with that idea, I know it sounds like I'm tangenting all over the place, but these are actually connected in the flow of thought, like a writer. So I understand that could be looked at, where's he on the map here? But this is following. One of the things that leads me to is healthcare. Now, they'll say that it's socialist or things to say that there should be universal healthcare in this country, US. I'm saying BS completely on that. One of the main things for a child, elderly people, is health. If we're back in a village or a tribe, would you deny care for someone who's sick, ill, fallen, hurt, bleeding? You give that care. You take care of each other. That's what defines us and sets us above as a species. Humanity shines when they care for each other. So I am a big advocate for no cost health care instead of making a big business where you make a fortune selling aspirin or you make a fortune going to ER. Why? What are you paying for? Gold-plated toilet seats? What are we paying for? We need to make sure people are given care, and it's not ranked on if you're the elite or if you're middle class or if you're lower class. We need to make it so that if someone has an emergency, they're tended to and there's no bill. They're in desperate need. They're in a situation of trauma. We don't add injury to injury. We take care of these people. We take care of our own. Then you'll see humanity evolve. What is this about healthcare being something bad in this country where it'd be socialist or something if we gave healthcare? So I think if we start looking at certain aspects of symptoms that are coming from this what's in it for me mentality, the elite keep the poor down through healthcare. And it's like, it needs to change. We need to, if we want to look at ourselves in the mirror and have a good feeling, we need to make sure all are cared for and all are valued. That includes our elderly, our youth, and everyone. Shame on us if we don't go that route.
I agree. And I was watching the movie Ragnarok, and where the giant elites, they're poisoning the water with cadmium. And what are they doing here with the chloride, And so the reason why, and we know this, Tom, is they want to keep getting money, making money off of the people that can't afford the insurance, and then keep feeding them, with the pills that are not organic for them. They're synthetic that only cause other side effects. And so it's a game.
Yes, it is. We need an emancipation proclamation for the poor. It's time to end this. We don't need this monopoly game anymore of the rich and elite 1% and the poor and the middle class. We can get rid of that. I'm not saying communism. I'm saying humanity. Let's just make sure, let's do a restart. Like you said, Chad, about a general reset. Let's do a general reset. How many people have earned their riches that are part of the elite, the Bushes and the rest, the Clintons? How many have earned their money? How many have earned their status? They haven't earned it. They've inherited it. So what if you reset the game, the monopoly game, redoll it out, give everybody a fair shot, watch you rise to the top and watch this country steer in a good direction by empowering those that earn it instead of those that are using attorneys to maintain it. And that's what their big, goal is. So I'm saying, yeah, I would like to be where they can't label me, they can't pigeonhole me, they can't define me. That'll bother them. That'll bother them. They're big on labels. So the worst thing to say,
we're unpredictable.
You have to be. That's what the screenplay, if I go back to it, is talking about. If you want to beat the architect, be unpredictable. You just said it. There's the answer. Unpredictable.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chad. Thank you, Tom.
I was just listening to somebody that was CIA talk about like people and humanity, and they were talking about how everybody is just so predictable and they have everybody profiled. I'm not predictable, I don't believe, because I follow intuition. I don't do reaction so much. I in that sense.
Could you send me that clip then too? I would love to have that clip for our purposes for the Library of Evidence. So that'd be very, very important. It illustrates very well the shallow thinking of the agencies and also indicates why the agencies should be defunded and disbanded because they're way out of touch.
Yeah, and even listening to this gentleman speak and stuff, he was not in touch with all the information. Like I question certain things. For example, the elite, and it told you how this universe was formed and how it ran. I agree with some of that, and it does make sense because it fits into some theory, but it doesn't necessarily make it to truth, because I do not believe that they tell even their elite the truth. They give them a story to believe in, and then the truth is somewhere outside of that. And the CIA is like under this impression that they're for the country, but they haven't done their research into that there was a reset and there are no countries. They actually they believe in the system. They believe everything's happening. There's countries and there's sides and there's presidents and everybody is on different, that's what they're believing. They're believing the narrative of what, what they teach in school and stuff. Even the ones listening to us now, it's like they've been trained. It's like my brother in the army. We have Evan, who I was raised with, and then we have Dan, the brainwashed one that we don't even talk to. That's for his, for what he does. But I believe even the CIA are brainwashed. That nobody really knows what the truth is.
They are brainwashed, Chad. I mean, I used to
Yeah.
hang out with this guy that, I thought he was my friend. He's a DARPA agent, and he would make fun of me too. And I'm like, I can't hang with you anymore because you're over here, making fun of your own brother, saying that he thought he was Jesus and, calling him crazy. But then he knew the secrets. He knew some of the secrets that they would use, the tactics that they would use, the MK Ultra, the weapon, the DEW that goes through the 5G, even, the one that I talk about from the moon, right? Every full moon. And, but he was still very brainwashed into, he was right. And, the red against the blue. And even when they do have their war games, like in the Gulf War, that those, like the Tomahawk thing, all those secrets that now they're using, right? They know, but they're still brainwashed to thinking, well, okay,
Right.
we are right. I'm with the red team. I'm with the blue. We are with the, like,
Yeah.
and I totally get it because I was brainwashed to, stand by the US of A. And it's like my heart was broken because I was born in Nogales, right? In Mexico, Sonora. And then I have Italian blood. I have the German, but all that stuff, right? And it's like, wait, well, where's your fidelity? Where's your loyalty? Celeste, that's what you want to talk about today. So it's kind of like you're kind of torn, but when you find out who you really are as a starseed, that you come from the old world, right? That you come from, that you are from the stars, that you are here to help humanity. You have to break that programming of US of A and proud, it's anyway. Yes, they are brainwashed. Their way or the highway.
Yeah, they're also conditioned for their paycheck. It's like what they do is they follow their orders like a military system. And it's like, and they don't want to know certain information often, many of them. They just want to be able to be paid, given their rewards, their power, their position, and it's all about them and what's in it for them, like I said. And, so whenever you have a system, like I said, based on power, it's all about power, as they say, then you don't have a cohesive field. There's not a cohesive connection, not in the ranks. And so what you have is this eclectic kind of grouping of individuals that all want to gain, and it's like a beehive in disarray. So the agencies really don't have lasting qualities in their core structure. They're not built in. Really, they're designed to fall apart when it comes down to it. So we actually need a system, I think, too, where when there's a national emergencies come or worldwide emergencies come, that we have a alternate care system in place. Because I'll tell you, the standing institutions in healthcare, especially in this country, military, policing, and for law enforcement, is going to fall apart in a big crisis. And we need to form organizations that will actually be there because they have the heart for the people, and they'll be there in these. And you watch them come in and do the job, while the other ones are running tail out to protect themselves. We need actual humanity that looks out for humanity in a body that can actually do service when push comes to shove, when the big bangs come. So,
but then, yeah, I totally agree, because that's what I was thinking about 2 weeks ago. It's like, well, okay, we know all this stuff. What are we going to do other than just talking? Okay, well, we need to come up with this and that, just like you said. But then now we have to deal with the crooked judges, crooked attorneys, crooked agents out there. So it's like, how do we do that? How do we get rid of those? And I'm thinking, you go in your heart space, you do it with love, and somehow you just, I don't know how, just use your superpowers and put it out there to the universe, and the right people will come, right? Like in this movie, they were saying the right gods will come and help you. They told Thor, and that day I was feeling like, man, who's gonna come help us? Who's gonna change? Because this voting thing doesn't work. This left wing, right wing, liberal, it doesn't work here. It's just a setup. So
Well,
what
you
do
say something really interesting.
yeah.
It's like I want to see us form our own country. It's like if I get the money I'm supposed to be due, like they say, I'm worth over $1 billion some. So I would like to make a sovereign nation. Let the one world society happen, and we'll have a sovereign nation. And then it's like we'll have our own currency, our own trade, or whatever we want to do. And we'll be self-sufficient, energy-wise, everything else. Why not? We can do it. We're the geniuses. We're the smart ones. So let's form our own smart society. And that's a way to counter the world. Have the better party, have the better celebration, have the better living, have the better life. And so I've fantasized about that since I was tiny. It's like an island nation or something. Go ahead, Chad.
That's what I want to write my plays about, is to inspire that young person to think, what does that look like? How can we live together in a society like that? Because like you were saying earlier, like, oh, this isn't socialism, but this is a socialism. What I found is that they've, like, there's good and evil in each one of these, socialism or, democracy or republic. Why can't we just take the good thing in each one of those and combine it into one package, instead of having to accept the good and the bad? And it's like
Take what works.
yeah,
Absolutely smart, brilliant. That's it. I would love that, a society of smart people who are geniuses, creative wise and structuring wise, and have them come together. You're gonna see a movie come out about this. I'm sure that someone's gonna be writing this.
I have one of my family members.
I'm gonna be writing it.
Yes, yeah, we're gonna be there with you guys. One of my family members just told me last week, and I can't say who, but she told me that she wants to go to school to help people have this society where she can build homes for them. And I was telling her, I would love it if you would build the homes with the straw, and then you put the adobe, the adobe around there, the clay, and we could live in a community. And no, I'm not talking about these crazy people that drink the Kool-Aid crap, go to a UFO mothership. No, I'm not talking about that crap, okay? Like Tom said, we all need healthcare. I had a friend who was from Orlando, I think in English it's Holland, and she told me that they had free care over there, and people were more free to go to school. And so when she moved here, when she got married to the United States, she would have all these degrees. She had all this knowledge, and it's because she says that it's free flowing for over there. Like if you have free medical care and free school, imagine the society that you would have and your future.
The stress removed, the axe not hanging over the head. It's like we're waiting for the axe to fall, and suddenly it was wiped out. All you worked for is gone. It's a rigged table. It's a rigged system. Right. So moving that, you're absolutely right. It frees up everything, Chad. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Chad. I mean, Tom, go ahead.
No. Me? Oh, okay. I do get it. I just want to point out too, because like this is a known thing. Like you can't have a perfect society; it'll become corrupt and evil, right? You got to design a society that does have dark and light, just not maybe the extremes that we got right now that are playing against each other. But there is going to be that. So that's a part of the thought process. Yeah, you want to create, like a perfect, a sovereign nation and everything like that. But that's going to have. We can't just say, oh, if you don't think like us, go that way. We got to learn to live with the ones that don't think with us and that are willing to work with us. That's what I think is. So that's why it's going to be. It's not as easy as it sounds. Let's just separate from you all and just go where we can be ourselves. That's not going to work.
No, I had
you travel like people.
Yeah. I had a vision when we were on where I was walking on water, and there's these other people that came over here, swimming, and then I was like, oh my gosh, the water is like bluish, with the white was coming in, and then the blue, and then it was like combined. It was a combined. That color was so beautiful, kind of like turquoise. So I'm thinking maybe something like that. I don't really like to call it gray because it's like reminds me of the gray wannabe aliens. It's like somewhere in the middle. We gotta be somewhere in the middle, guys, right?
Yeah. Well, you tell you what, there's a phrase, something about, doing my most to piss off the religious right or whatever. It's like what we do is if you set up a system, because you got me thinking, it's like what you can do is set it up where the elite find out not all of them are invited. And it drives them crazy thinking they can't be the member of any club they want. And so what you do is you set up a system where you actually get a sense of who the people are that are applying. And if it feels right, they're brought in. It's apart from buying your way in or testing your way in. There's a sense that we are given, and this is going on a limb here, but I'm going to stay on that limb right now and buffer it. It's like we can tell often, there are people who are empathetic that can tell if a person has the heart, wherewithal, commitment. You can tell. So it'll be a different kind of interviewing process, but getting those kind of people together, you're taking the creams of the crop. And I don't care if they'd say that we were being judgmental on individuals not being accepted. Too bad. It's like you get a sense of how people present themselves, especially since it's so indoctrinated in our society now, of people that are actually dynamic, genuine. There's a way to know. And just gathering those kind of people together, you know.
I've thought of this, Tom. I've thought of that, and I thought if you do have a society, you're going to have a rehabilitation zone for people coming in to rehabilitate out of society and into a normal way of living, and then you can integrate those into the normal community as they heal and they're open to it. But there's got to be a buffer zone. You just can't just let a
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And one of the
You gotta
rules
figure
is
out
as
who's
long as
gonna
you're
work,
happy,
yeah.
I love it. As long as you're happy here, stay.
You guys,
You know, if you're not happy,
listen, I just got this. Today's 05/23/2023. Okay. Today's not 23andMe. Today is not the 23 that Hollywood wants to keep those people in chains. Today is not MasterCard, the M13 and the C3 13 3 to keep people reincarnated in debt. Today is not that. Today we break the programming and it all makes sense. And I really want Celeste to talk to you guys.
yeah, go ahead.
What it is, we're chipping away the people that were taken to the dark crystal, and we're bringing them back. We're helping them come back, but genuinely, because you know those trolls in Trollville, and y'all know which message I'm talking about recently, just like 3 days ago. Like, no, you know, go ahead, guys, because Lola's going crazy here.
That's all right. Yeah, they want to make us think that there's no options when there's so many options. There's so many options. And when you think in layers, you can see all these options. And so they want us to be directed into a helpless disparity where we feel, or despair. They want to feel like, you know, where we have no option, no way out. And it's like there's so many ways out. We're at a very bad, boring party, and the door's right there. And if we want, we can use the window either too. But let's leave this party. It's boring. And so, yeah, that's what I'm thinking as far as our society here. US has really dumbed itself down. And it's just not stimulating. It's not interesting. So I'd love to reset it where we have our own party. But go ahead, Celeste. I'm sorry. You said Celeste.
We can use mirrors. Yes, Celeste, come on. Are you ready to tell people your testimony here? Because it's very important. And I know you have a lot to say. And we got time. Right, guys? We got time. And if you guys need to take a break, let me know. And we'll start all over. Good with me. Go ahead, Celeste. Thank you. Thank you both.
Yep. So today I did want to talk about loyalty because I came to the realization I was not being loyal to those who are loyal to me. And at 4:47 in the morning, Veronica finally broke through, man. She used that hammer and she broke it, and she helped me break the programming. I was holding such hate and animosity towards a certain family member that I almost put harm on them. And once Veronica broke through, like, the shame and the guilt hit so hard. I was like, this is who I am. This is what I'm supposed to be feeling. These are the feelings I'm supposed to be feeling. And so I waited till the family member got up, and I just let them know. And I was contrite. I was crying. I just told them, and I just was accountable. And, you know, Tom was talking about being accountable, and I had to take accountability for that. And I was like, I was the only one that convinced myself to do what I did towards you. And it was me and only me. Like, nobody else told me to do it. And I was so pissed off at myself. Like, I was just on the couch, just like, you know, waiting for her to get up. And the whole time I'm just sitting there like, how could I have been so cruel? How could I have been so callous? How could I have been, why am I holding on to this hate? Like, where is it coming from? And I was just going down a spiral, you know, before the programming got broken. I was just like drinking. I was putting myself in a really bad hole. And finally today, it stopped. And so yesterday I went on a ride along for a lab career position. And so we went to 4 prisons yesterday. That was showing me that I'm putting people in prisons. So I'm breaking them free. I'm burning them down. It's get into the sunlight, run, just fucking run. And there was a little van passing by with these 2 white guys. The shirts they were wearing, they look like those button-up ones, like kind of like the Geek Squad type uniforms. And they're in this little van, pure white. And in the back of that van said V33. That's when I knew I had to talk to Veronica, because I haven't really been in contact with her. I just been distancing myself and just kind of, you know, just holding on to this hate until finally I just let it go today. Like, hate for like even my dad, for people in the past that hurt me, people in the present, and people in the future that will hurt me. I forgive them, and I just want to love them, and I want to love everybody. And I'm so glad I'm back.
Yay.
So if somebody's looking for a sign like it's time to let go, this is it. Let it go, man. Start clearing out your room, start cleaning out your mirrors, clean out your car, clean out everything. Like, start getting rid of things that you're feeling like, okay, this feels like I need to get rid of it. Get rid of it. Drink your water, eat your healthy foods, get in the sun, get somewhere nice, like get into nature, like really put your feet in some real dirt. Go into the forest, put your feet in some real dirt. Don't go to some manicured lawn. Like, you got to get into real nature and recharge. And when I was speaking with Veronica, like, I was at this nice little memorial park garden, and I just felt like the roses and the palm trees and everything, the cactus was just taking it all out from me. Like, they were taking it from me and they were just letting it go. And I just felt so good today, and I was just like, I felt like I could fly.
I even saw a hummingbird when you and I were talking right here at the window. I was like,
Mhm.
you, and the hummingbird was there, just right there at the window, just looking at me flying. And I'm like, it's a release. It's released today. Today is May 23, 2023. It's a release day. And Celeste, you were saying that you were drinking something instead of water, and that
Oh, Tampico? Yeah, poison. Just it
Go
was
ahead.
just like, ugh. Yeah, instead of just drinking water, like I was just drinking like, you know, sugary flavored crap that we shouldn't be putting in our bodies. And I know that too was adding to the darkness and adding to my crystal starting to darken and starting to dim my light. And, you know, I had to dump that down the drain. I'm just now sticking to water, just good food. Like, yeah, I just had the biggest revelation this morning, and I just can't be any more happier. And now that I know what I know, now I know how to fight it. Now I know how to combat it. Now I know I'm not putting nobody in no prison. Like, we're going to fight it together. So if they want me to think a certain way about someone, I'm going to double it, return it to sender, and me and this person are going to fight them instead. So that's where we got to be now. Now we just got to fight together. I know there's certain people, you know, they're in survival mode still, and they got to do what they got to do. And, you know, we just can't hate them for that. It's just, you know, we just got to focus on ourselves and just our passions and our mission.
And then you're wearing the butterflies, and then we were talking about the Pegasus, right?
Mhm.
You broke that programming.
Mhm.
The Monarch, you know.
The Monarch programming, yeah, because I pretty much like either MK Ultra'd myself or I let some sort of programming enter me
No,
because I was holding.
it was the AI, because I totally saw it. Like, every time I would listen to you, I'm like, gosh darn it, I have to tell her to stop. But I'm like, no, something kept saying, because I kept seeing you go darker and darker, and I'm like, okay. And then when you said, I'm taking myself off of Instagram, WhatsApp, and I'm like, wait, I totally felt, well, you just leave. You left, and I'm like, crap, like, what am I gonna do now? All I could do is send her love. She'll come back. And then sometimes it has to take a person going to hit rock bottom, like they say, to realize what the F am I doing here? What is,
Mhm. Like, how the hell did I even get here to begin with?
you have to be
But,
careful. We've talked about it before, the AI, right? The phone, the AI, the code words that are used in the memes, in even YouTube videos, in dark people. We'll just call them dark people for now. And because it's not always bad, the dark is not always good and light. But anyway, so we have to be careful. How are we programming our mind? Are we letting them program us, or are we going to take out that CD or the chip and say no more? I'm not going to listen to this garbage. What program were you listening to that you started feeling this thing come up? Remember today or yesterday that lady that was talking online that you said?
oh yeah. So I usually watch the narcissist therapist lady, Dr. Ramani, and she talks about a show called Succession. I don't know if you guys heard about it or know what it's about. And it's just about like this very narcissistic cutthroat family. And usually when I watch, her episodes on that, like everything's fine, but just something about the episode she was talking about yesterday, like it just started to get my anxiety freaking going. Like just out of nowhere, my fight or flight hit so bad. And something just told me, just get into the living room. So I like ran out of my room. I ran right into the living room, and I just like felt like I was able to breathe. And I felt like whatever was trying to take hold of me got left behind in here. So I just was like, okay, I need to chill in here for a bit. And I was hanging out with our cats and and it felt like nice out there, nice and cool. And so I ate something because I'm like, well, I need to eat before I go to work or go to do this ride along thing. And then, finally when I came back in, it felt like it had gone. And I was just like, damn, what the hell was that? Like, that was just really weird. Like, I hate it when
Different parasites and different entities that want to go into people, and it just depends what kind of programs you're listening to. Like, so if you're always looking at shows of romance and lack of and failed marriages and crap like that, you're kind of like helping this whoever. Remember, because when there's a show, and Tom, I know you know this, there's always some kind of spell work that goes behind a show to get people, reel them in with their emotions, and then boom, they manifest what they want, right? That's what Hollywood uses, why they use this actresses and the singers and all that. They get you all riled up in the concert. Hey, I love you, and it's like they're using people's energy. So we have to be very careful once again what we are listening to. Are we going to let our emotions be attached? Or are we going to see through our crystal eye, and say, oh, wow, this is, what? I return to sender, break spells, or maybe not even watch the program anymore. But thank you, Celeste.
No, for sure.
Thank you. So anyone else want to say?
Well, I think you raised an interesting point again about the whole celebrity sphere, using celebrities to control the thinking of the population. And it's like, I would love to see people break away from the celebrity worship and just can it and lift their family instead. I think I said it before, celebrate your family if you can, or your new family, loved ones that have become family to you, and lift them, spend more time with them, and turn off the celebrities. I would love to see empty stadiums when celebrities appear, because that is part of the system. They were given that power, and what is actually being achieved? Nothing. It's a substitute to get away from reality at some points. And so I would love to see the celebrity system fall apart. Like, what is a celebrity? Worthy of celebration is what it's supposed to be, worthy of celebration. But again, is it earned or simply, prescribed? So.
Great point. Chad, anything else you want to say?
That probably has to do in empowering the people, because most people look at a celebrity and they're there because they're seeing what they want to be, but feel they're not, and so, we need to do that. And it's hard for me to comment sometimes on a lot of things because I am separate than the general public. I'm 1 in 100 because I'm considered Sigma. And if you look at the hierarchy scale, you have like alphas at the top, and then below that you got your betas, and then you got your omegas and deltas. And then outside of that, you got the Sigma, and it's the lone wolf. And the reason that makes me, people have called me Dexter. You mentioned that earlier, Veronica. And the reason is because if I was pushed to my breaking point, What makes a Sigma is I'm mired in my morals. It's what dictates me. I've never asked the question, what's in it for me?
Mhm.
And so I need to learn a little bit to do that, but you know, I've never asked that question before. And I get along with all four of those personality types. If someone's in control and they're doing a good job, I allow them to be in control. And if not, I take their head off their shoulders and I take control if I have to, you know, because that's a Sigma. And so it's hard for me to, you know, I am different than other people. So I can't really say, well, this is the way I think, this is how others think, you know. So and I get a sense that some of us are more in that scale too. You know, I'm considered the lone wolf, or in that sense. But it does give me perspective, because I look at the rest of society and I watch them interact and intermingle with each other.
Mhm. Yeah, you're not programmed, and you can watch and see. And
Yeah,
that's what my screenplay was talking about, the remnant, gathering a remnant. That was the term that I felt was led through me to use. And so it's those like yourself that are scattered, that are outside the box, whatever. And then what if they're the ones that actually start to lead the way to a better way now, where working together? That's really cool. The ones that were not able to be
right.
programmed. Yeah.
Right. And the reason they would call me a Dexter is because if you took me to my breaking point, snapping point, I'm not going to turn into a serial killer and go around and start hunting the herd. I'm
Right.
going to kill the motherfuckers that did it to me.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty
Exactly.
sure that's the way, because I'm so mired in my morals. It's like, you broke me and now I'm coming after you.
Right.
Um, you know, I think that's why people have called me a Dexter or something. Now, Dexter has his morals, but they were given to him. His morals were installed in him afterwards. You know, I'm different. My morals is what defined me and separated me from the
Same.
crowd.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
That's interesting too, because what's going on in these days, I'm noticing, is, and
Mhm.
it talked about that. Remember the 25-year-old woman that was killed and mob killed by the Gang of Six, whatever. It's like they talk about how, and I've seen this in my own personal circles, where those that have been rewarded and turned and done the damage, then want to go on with their lives as if nothing had happened, and they brag and boast about what they did, but they want to go on and just go on. It's like that's in the system where they get to go on as if nothing happened. And you're considered a Nazi hunter if you're going after them to make them accountable for what they did. They need to be accountable for what they did. No one should be able to walk away from heinous crimes and as if nothing happened. And the system built that in. That needs to change, where God bless anybody who's going to go and see it through and bring these people to justice. And do not let them walk away. I've got people in my life, like a Samantha Harrison, who was a child services, who we now know played us completely. I don't want her just walking away. I want her accountable and revealed publicly for what she did. A monster from Bucks County, child services, absolute monster, and did not do it real properly. And like even the Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick, you've got the sister, you've got these different people in my life. Todd Hilsey is working at the Forge Theater in New York, and he's accountable for all the horror he did and getting away.
Okay.
So yeah.
So, Tom, I have a question. There's a dilemma morality wise. People say that small people mention names and big minds talk about concepts. I don't understand. I can call out as many concepts as I want, but I feel like we need to be calling out names of these
We
people
need to be
as
calling
well.
out
So,
names.
and
And yeah,
yeah,
I
thank
think
you.
that's a
Okay.
conditioning that's been put on there, and they make it as if it's
Thank
something
you.
noble. No, it is noble to
Yeah.
call out names. It is noble to say this party has done wrong to an individual or to a group, and I'm not going to let it slide. What I want to form is basically Robertson did it. Pat Robertson, the evangelist, who's a bad person, but he formed a law and justice center. I want to form an actual law and justice center where attorneys come together and we start demasking and calling accountability on criminal attorneys and bought judges. And we go after them with legality and we do it well. And they're very easy to catch because they felt they could get away with anything they wanted. So there's all kinds of things. There's no statute limitations on revealing these frauds and things like this. We're going to make sure these starts to turn around the law system. And so that's one of my goals. I was actually felt called to law before I was even into arts. And so what I want to do is mix the arts and the law. But I want to do a center that is then going to apply the best, and we're going to go after revealing fraudulent cases, get people out of jail that
Okay.
don't belong there, get people out of psych wards that don't belong there, go after judges and attorneys that have bragged and boasted of doing wrong, because they do. We're going to turn our system around and make it easier for law enforcement to do their job and be part of a noble system instead of a corrupt one. Go ahead, Chad.
I have
Sorry.
a question about that. So Tom, if a judge or an attorney gets caught in doing something corrupt and then they resign, can they then be pursued afterwards? I mean,
That's
that's
what
what
we're going to
I'm.
establish. We're going to set up that it can be. We're going to show the horrid what's been done horrendously, and we're going to make that statute. We're going to make that a law, and so that's what we're going to push for. So we're going to turn it around where accountability is restored to the legal system. See, and so that's what needs to be done. Instead of it cascading the wrong way, we're going to take it back and reform it. That's a goal, and it can be done. It's done through precedent and through case by case. We can establish this. A road and path laid out with a strategy can be achieved. And it can be achieved and argued when you have the proof. What was done in our Matrix case, the absurdity of it can be shown. You know, where they say, you know, there's no evidence whatsoever, no matchups. It's like we got tons of them, inserts, and everything else. We're going to turn it around where people can have their day in court instead of this game where the elite has rigged the table. And so, yeah, no, they will be held accountable. Once you see that happening, you're going to see a turn of heart with a lot of these judges and a lot of these attorneys. Suddenly it won't be so easy and giddy to get away with things. They'll start to be brought to the table for accountability. It'll happen. That's how you get your country back, by the way.
Yes, and I'm with you. We're all with you, Tom, and I'm a part of this. There's a reason why we're here, and it makes total sense what you were saying, how, you know, when I was a kid, I felt like a misfit, like I never belonged, but because I always stood for what was right. And then later on in life, they're like, well, are you going to be a snitch? You can't be you can't be in law enforcement if you're going to be a snitch. You can't be in military, the good old boy society. And a lot of the times I was torn. So now that I'm speaking the truth about everything, even though I've always spoke the truth, but publicly, that's why they don't like people like us, is because we will say the truth no matter what. That's what separates us from the cream of the, you know what I'm saying? The fake cream of the crop, like they say that they take to, oh, well, you got a scholarship to Princeton or Yale or,
Right.
So it
See
makes
what you
sense.
just showed. Yeah, okay. You
I'm
showed
done.
this ability, you showed this sweetness, you showed this dignity. You just showed that's all these layers at once. And then say to Chad, that's what would be part of the interview process for entering that sovereign nation. It's like you can see it. You can see it. And the courage to have me on this program. It's like, I mean, that's so many people are scared. And I've had psych people, I've had doctors, I've had enforcement people say they're scared. They don't want happening to them what happened to me. That's where we're at right now. It's shambles. This country's in shambles. But there's courageous people like yourself. I would love to see a society of brilliant people working together, and we can show how it's done right. That could be infectious and carry on in other countries that are part of a one world society still, but it could actually affect a change where people might see a better way to approach things. Because right now, the concern of top people is that people in this country, particularly, will rise up against them from injustice to a mockery placed on them, bragging about the injustice done to the poor. And so we are at the breaking point. And it's now we're at the point where they're saying it's misinformation you'll be banned for. Who's determining whether it's misinformation? Who calls that ball? The clowns that are controlling it. It's like, what's misinformation? You show the evidence and everything else, and it's called misinformation. What a blanket way to get rid of the argument at critical thinking, to get rid of any kind of process that would elevate and refine humanity. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and that goes back to the what we were talking about way earlier, where it's like kind of like a little bit of a hive mind here, a hive mind there, and then, oh, well, you're wrong, and well, you're right, and everybody wants to talk crap. But anyway, Chad brought up an important question, and thank you, Chad, for reminding me. Can you talk about the highway incident, Tom? Because at the same time within 2 weeks that incident happened to you, another YouTuber had an accident and didn't post for 13 days. And another person and I were worried about him, and he's okay now doing videos. So would you like to talk about that?
Sure, I can explain it. There's been a number of them, but the one that was which was pointed out to me, was done on the day where historically in Judeo-Christian belief, Jesus was in hell, basically, speaking and ministering in hell. And so they see it as a witch day, where it's like he wasn't existing on this planet, so free for all, dad and mom are not in the home, so party. So that's the day they struck, that very day, which is, they pick holidays and symbolism as attached to the choices they make as times to hit. So so what happened was I was riding behind, my son was in a van in front of me with his girlfriend and their family. It was a caravan of a couple vehicles heading to a family reunion, crawfish boil. And so we're going along, and I was on a strip. It was well announced that we were going to be doing this, so they knew, Route 10, major highway, easy to bring operatives under control. So it was a two-vehicle hit where they brought two vehicles racing at the same time, almost like, Lightning McQueen, just two vehicles racing up, always from behind. And so they come from behind. The one is coordinated where it cuts in between the van where my son was, so he can be observing this, and then my car. One gets between it, the other one comes and starts to ram the door to run me into the truck. And so it was a coordinated effort, which you can tell what's going on. So my brother, who's an attorney, was on the phone with me, and he actually witnessed the whole thing. So he heard me saying, "Oh, I'm being cut off, so I'm so used to it." And I started to blow the horn immediately. Now, I advise people do this. Whenever they come at you, blow the horn and sustain the horn. Why? It draws witnesses, sometimes video cameras up, like the iPhone start recording. They see an accident. Now, the motive might be from these individuals. They can post it and get a lot of views, but it works in our favor. If they're videoing it, they're getting the license plates, they're getting the individuals, they're getting the government cars, the FBI, CIA agency cars, vans. So blow your horn, and it disrupts the assailants. So right away they scattered, they shackled. The one went away, boom, right away out of the lane. The other one went forward and out, and they started racing together for the next exit up ahead. I followed at top speed, keeping the horn blowing. Now, the reason I do that is to draw attention to the vehicles that they might be recorded, and they know that. I let them exit, and then I went on with my party. On we went. So that's how I handle it now, and they know I'm going to handle it that way. I'm going to draw attention to them.
Yeah,
And
it's
this
like
came
put
in
it
as
on
a
your
success.
wigwags. Woo, 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 right? Go 3.
Yeah, look, draw attention to them. They don't want to have the attention drawn to them, right? They work on the basis of feeling they're getting away with it, feeling the stimulation of doing these crimes and these harms.
Do you
what
feel
you
the truck was involved as
No, I
well?
think the truck was not involved. That's a good question. I think the truck was just a truck, and they timed it to go on the truck. So yeah, so I think that's it, because it would be hard to have a rig go with me when I'm freewheeling in a caravan. So I think that's a good question. I think the truck was not involved, but that they went for the pinning moves. They did it so fast that my brother noticed on the phone it was so rapidly. So they came up like lightning behind me, and they knew exactly what they were doing. One front, one shove. And
They could have chosen the victim to be the truck driver,
that's a very good point. Yeah, yeah. It's a
because
good
they
point.
always need another victim to make oh, well, I'm gonna sue Tom because
Right.
And if that guy survived, he wouldn't be living long.
No, that's a good point, because he'd be a witness to them who had done it. And what's interesting, in the articles that follow these events, when there's actually an accident curtailed, then they don't mention the drivers. They won't use the drivers' names. In the event of my son's death, when they drowned him in the shallows of the pool, the military base, Stars and Stripes did that report that they were going to investigate everything. They never mentioned the lifeguard's name. Where's the lifeguard? Why did he disappear? Why is his name not mentioned? Yeah.
I have to ask a question, and I'm uncomfortable asking it, but I need to, because I've wondered it. How do you know for sure your sons are deceased? May I ask? Like that they're not. I would think that they would use that card already if that was the case. But
My thought immediately would be that they haven't contacted me. They would have reached out to their daddy. So it's like, I mean, not that they were 30, some 26 and 33. So they knew our interactions before that event were very close. And we had warned each other about attempts being made. And then it happened right after that. So the reason Sean was killed is because they couldn't get to Aiden. Aiden was the prime target, and instead they killed Sean because Sean wasn't with me. So what's interesting, I want to raise a point, it's a good question, a point that in Star Trek, which was done Out of the Darkness or something, Star Trek was done in Canada, in Colombia, or whatever, Canada. And Trudeau's government helped fund it. It says funded by the Canadian government. In it is done by J.J. Abrams, the producer, who's involved in ripoffs with us. We've been told and informed in multiple ripoffs. What's interesting is for the bad guy's name, the villain in that that movie, they made it so it says Althouse, Aiden, son. It's incredible. They use anagrams, things. They have Balthasar Edison. When you look at it, it says Althus or something Z. So Althouse. Then it's Aiden, whatever, Aiden, and then the end is Edison's son. Althouse, Aiden, son is the bad guy's name. They are so drunk on this particular author, and it's not me praising myself. I'm saying that they consider me their wayward son. They consider me the genius that wrote the work, and they always approach me all the time. They approach me with, "We know you wrote this. We're fans of your work." They always do that. Their attorneys do that. So I was the one that was supposed to lead the cabal, and instead they mock in all the different films. My mom's birthday just happened. Today is the 23rd. May 23rd is Man in the High Castle. May 23rd is what she would have been, her birthday in Okinawa, which the character Wannabe is in Man in the High Castle, in that dossier. Like again, and Sean and Kirk's birthdays, December 7th, October 14th, on those rap sheet records. And my birthday, July 2nd, on the rap sheet records. And my fiance, that was, we just learned from the inside, my fiance, Otika Lynn Bernard now, at the time when I wrote the piece, her birthday's also in there. So my mom's birthday, fiance's birthday, two murdered sons' birthday, my birthday, all under 4 characters in Man in the High Castle in the rap sheet, while in Matrix, my birthday, Otika Lynn Bernard's birthday, also as Neo's birthday, and my dad's name, my high school, everything else. Is there any questions?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they have set this up where it's supposed to bring me home, so I become part of the problem and work against you. Instead, I've dedicated my life, like Chad said, the way he is. I've always been that way also, where I cannot do wrong. I cannot turn for evil. I cannot do it. It's not in my conditioning. It's not in my heart. It's not in my design. So I forget what you called what you are, Chad, but that kind
Sigmata.
Sigmata outside.
A sigma.
Outside the realm, they don't know what to do with us. They call us difficult.
Look, they tried to, everyone here. For example, me, I have the blondes with the blue eye, and then I have the red with the green eye bloodline. They tried it with all of us, mixing in the bloodlines to see if they can turn us. They can't.
That's right. That's right. They would want you and I together, not to make a blush,
Exactly.
but they would,
No,
because blonde hair, red hair, green eyed, blonde, blue, that's me. Swiss, right, from my sister that turned so badly, horribly, red hair, green eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, so that's it. They put it out there so much that we can turn the tables and lead the other way. So I'm going to hold on to this sovereign nation idea. And I really want to do that. I want to have an island of familia and just amazing people and just, a nation in Spanish. I want to do it. I want to show life as it should be, where we don't work ourselves to death. And my work week, according to my dream, you work 10 hours a week and you live life as a family and friends. Yeah, go ahead, Chad.
Oh, I don't have to take it off mute. Okay, so well, Tom, that would be amazing, because not only, I mean, in a society like that, the garage geek, or whoever it is that, I mean, we're just going to excel, because there's going to be nothing limiting us. There will be unlimited energy, unlimited power. There will be healing, cure. I mean, all the things we're not allowed out here. Healthy food, because we'll have actual farmers
Yes.
and farming the dirt, and then healers instead of doctors, all those things. Yeah, I mean, it would just be amazing.
You do what you love.
Yeah, it would be a very strong nation, let's put it that way, but we'd have to protect ourselves for sure.
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
We wouldn't need a PR machine to pump up the
Mm-mm.
nationalism. So just let people live.
And we're so creative, it'd give us our chance as humanity to just see what we can do, with our potential.
Yeah, and think of the arts and inventions that would come out of that. And we would reclaim
Yep.
we would have the legal system. We'd have our own legal system. We'll reclaim
Mhm.
our like Neuralinks, which I'm going to disband from Elon Musk, who took it from us. Surrey, iPad, all that, internet, Windows, that's all ours.
Right.
Just think what would be returned to the original owners that we can then expound on it the way we intended. That's in our notes. So it's going to be amazing. We will lead the way for the rest of humanity.
I'm
Whoever's-
gonna write something here, but I'm not gonna say it out loud.
Okay.
This was also part of my vision. So think about that during all this time. Ways of ways of bringing things in to the realm. I saw that in my vision. I don't know if we'll see. Maybe it'll make sense.
Say it again, because I was reading your message. Go ahead, say it again.
Oh, the message here on chat.
I just saw it. Yeah, about the Clone Wars, Star Wars.
Okay, no, let me talk with you. So instead of using the railway systems that they have underground, right? We have to go outside the box and think of other ways to get stuff. Of course we're gonna grow it and stuff, but there's just a way of travel, I guess, or I don't know. We'll talk about it.
That's such a good point. It's such a good point because we have the technologies. I've talked to so many people that are fans of the work, they say, fans of the work, from NASA scientists, you name it, and JPL and things like that. So they've come and talked to me, and it's like we have the technology to do hover cars and all kinds of stuff. Like we could do entertainment where you have a holographic, your living room becomes a holographic scene where you are in it. And it's around you. It's like we've got the technology now to do such amazing stuff, and they've been holding it back so they can make money off it. The Stone Age stuff as they progress along, make as much money. We wouldn't have that in a separate sovereign nation. So I'm going to push this. I'm going to go for it. I like the idea of writing the film, Chad. So you guys writing this, working the film. So it's like because it would definitely get the public, I think, interested. Those that were interested, I'm interested in. Because it'd be fun to actually reset the world through example and enjoying the process. That's what I would like to do. Yeah.
And I'll help you with I was a paralegal, but with law enforcement, that's because of justice.
That would be good.
Yeah.
I would like to see integrity restored to it. Yeah.
And all of us here have different talents, and we will all work together. That's you don't know how many times I pitched this idea to like having a community with their own water well, with our food, but they just talk. Then they forget. And then they delete my videos with them.
Well, how fun would it be to get restored the money that's due? They all brag. I mean, their attorneys brag about what we're worth. They'll say like 1.2 billion in my case. Get the money so you don't have to use the money anymore. Get the money to set a place aside where we don't have to use money anymore. Have a new system where it's like, and they can label all they want outside,
Okay. So with that new system, may I throw some ideas out, because I do agree with
I would love that. Yeah.
I do like the idea of the healthcare and stuff. One thing I've always believed in, and I think maybe a lot of people would too, is that if you're born on this planet, you should be provided a home, a means of food, and your basic necessities. Anything outside that box that you want, you go work for, and you earn yourself, but you should be provided the necessities.
Yes. No one's homeless.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
By merit of being alive.
And you shouldn't have to work if you don't want to. If you have a desire, you have a calling, go do it.
That's right. And children brought into the world where they are told you are special, you are blessed, you are welcomed, you are wanted. Every child is welcomed that way. They're not told they've been born in sin or evil, that
Yeah.
they, why send them running? from
Okay.
suffering?
I have a question for you, Tom. A philosophical debate about. Okay, so they say you have to be traumatized in order to be an achiever and to be successful. You know, you have to be blue pilled. You have to go through some sort of trauma in order to be, I guess, an achiever or whatever. So if we were to build a perfect society, because can you rate? I do believe they go through a spoiled change if you give something everything at once. But then after that spoiled thing, do you get a complete and whole person? Do you agree with what they're saying that you need to be traumatized in order to be your full potential?
I think that's something that they put as a construct on us because there hasn't been other alternatives
Yep.
of starting out. And so that's
Okay.
why I did a children's show called Winoozing.
I saw it.
Yeah, it's not fair.
You posted it.
Right. So Winoozing, where you win, you do games where it's not about winning, you win and lose. It's like it's about the development of it and the process of succeeding together. That will allow people to achieve and have the catalyst or that, that crucible for that development to happen, I believe, without the competition need. I think the competition structure leads to that conclusion that it fosters the development, of those that achieve. But if you use the Winoozing thing or that formula, then you will have achievers that actually are used to team effort, and they're not worried about whether the people are on the same team or not. They know they're always on the same team. They know they're always working together to achieve. And that will be a catalyst for a development of a whole nother mentality of achieving. And it'll be freeing, very freeing compared to what these other individuals, and they are remaining individuals that are the ones that are brought out of chaos to achieve.
Okay,
I would thrive in the, yeah, go ahead.
That's a combination between us and what communism is. It's like it's not the socialism. It's not quite what we got now. It's like an in between, and that's where we keep trying to aim between. That's what I'm hearing. Because like in communism, you only have comrades. You don't have friends. You're not allowed to sleep over. You don't know the not here in this country. Everybody's right and everybody's a judge and so it's the two extremes almost. But it would be interesting to see us work together where we are synergistically working together as comrades for a common goal.
Right.
And also allowed to be friends and family.
Where we're valued. Yeah.
In the middle instead of the extremes that they're trying. Yeah.
Yeah. Both government systems, like communism, and we're more a republic, of course. What you have is they had parties at the top that broke all the rules, celebrated, partied. They did not have fair systems in place. But if you have a system where if someone achieves and we celebrate that person, we celebrate what they achieved, and we get rid of the idea of I created it first. It's such a killjoy for creativity to make it about who did it first. I mean, think of it. Our country is rule bound by this idea of who did it first, and then they cheat to be the ones to claim they did it first. It's like, what about people getting excited about an idea and their impetus or their drive comes from pitching in to make it thrive, like the Mars project, getting the rover on Mars. It's like, I think that's an example of, there was competition involved. They had to do the bids. They had to get in who's going to get the project. And there was a race on the clock to see who could do it, get that favor. But I think it's an idea in the right direction where we are achieving goals as humanity rather than individuals for gain. So your system, your cards are going to fall down. The house is going to fall apart if it's all about gain and it's all about the individual taking what they can. It's not going to hold together. It can't succeed. And we're going to see a whole new stock of creatives, empath creatives that are going to step up when the system allows it. Many of us have chosen to opt out because we don't like what we see. We don't want to contribute to the mess. But when it's a fair, serene playing field, we will step up, we'll even lead, and we'll let our ideas flow. And yeah, then you're going to see advancements in humanity that's going to be off the charts. And there needs to be also that idea of, if something is profitable but not beneficial, then it should not be going forward. Its profits should not be the determining factor whether a project flies. That needs to end. It's not about shareholders anymore. It shouldn't be. It's about humanity. It's about our elderly. It's about our youth. It's about babies. It's about life, and also wildlife should be considered. Often it's a joke made about wildlife and factors like, oh my God, we have to worry about the horny owl. It's like, no, wildlife matters. I think wildlife is a meter to how well we're doing as humanity.
Yes.
It's like if our wildlife is at peace, or doing what they do, and not just fearful all the time or being choked to death, then I think it speaks well of us as a species. I think if there's alien races that are watching our planet, they should be judging us on how we treat other life forms. They should judge us on that way, rightly so. And right now we flunk with a big F. So
We treat animals the way we accuse them of treating us.
that's a real good point. Yeah, right.
We tag them, we put them in laboratories, we study them, we eat them.
And we're heading that way. We're starting to head that way with the children. We need to earn our right to be respected. We need to earn it. And we know the universe is crowded. It's full. It's just a cauldron of life. Just life out there all over the place. It just like this earth. And so I'm thinking that we need to be accountable. We need to be accountable for our choices, and not just be spectators anymore, and not be judging anymore. We need to remove that, but start being concentrating on systems that allow fair play, due process, and welfare for if we have anybody who's poor or homeless, then we have failed as society.
Right. It's not just about survival of the fittest, which is the way they did the breaking of, in the super soldier programs. It's survival of the fittest Nazi, and then remember
because it's based on power, based on power, and that creates the Teutonic society and everything. So power is an important part of building a society, because we do have to survive off of nature a little bit, and we do have that power play a little bit, but it's being responsible with it. But I don't think it's the only.
That's right. We have to find options. We have to find options outside the box on what we can do with regards to power. There's a show called Breaking Bad, and it's very, very popular. Aiden showed me it too, some of the episodes. And the premise basically centers around, if I've got this correct, that the gentleman is a professor in biology, and he's really a good guy, nice guy. He ends up with cancer. He wants to provide for his family, so he turns to bad. He turns to filming drugs. They are drawing conclusions for the public, and it's there on purpose, that because of our medical system, we should turn to evil. We should turn to bad in order to, so what it comes down to. They've set it in place for people to do bad, and they can do what they want with those people on the lower rungs of society, as they see. So therefore, that goes back to the idea that we need to change the system. We need to change the system, and then we allow those that are less fortunate or have been confined to actually find other avenues to have that moral compass and thrive. We've got to give them that opportunity. Right now, the poor have every reason to rebel, to break the law, to do wrong. They have every right and reason to do so because of the crimes of the elite. And we got to change that around, where there's a platform where they're allowed to have a moral compass, and they're allowed to function within it, and they're allowed to have a life for their families, and safety and security and health for their families without breaking the law. So it's our fault that they're suffering. It's our fault when it comes down to it.
Reminds me of that song, Breaking the Law, Breaking the Law.
Yeah, they're making it almost popular now.
Yeah, and so what it is they'll send these messages, especially at Target and Walmart, and they'll say, hey, Why don't you steal? This
Oh, God.
owe you. They owe you, right? So then the
Yeah.
person steals, right? Ends up in jail because now he's created a felony because he's now or she is now stuck on drugs, right? Because they go to places like Hope Incorporated or another Kodak or whatever behavioral health thing, right? Then they feed them more drugs, right? And then they use them for the programs. They break them down again. They use a MK Ultra, and then what do? They can either use them as a mass shooter, as a well, we go again with the prostitution to get CIA information, CIA love bites, shit like that. And it's a cycle that these poor people get stuck.
And now they're using the psych field to do this. I mean, it's incredible that the psych field reinforces the chaos and reinforces the harm. And these people don't know what they're doing. There was a show that I was told about where they have an interviewer and the interviewee. And then midway through the show, it reverses. And the other one's interviewing the other. And it shows the weaknesses in that party that's the other one, that was interviewing before for the job. So it's a really interesting switch. You could do that in the psych field. And I could tell you that many of these psych people in the psych field that pride themselves on their book knowledge, that if that was reversed, they'd be committed as mentally insane.
Tom, I just asked somebody the other day if it would be okay, if they thought it would be okay if I made a video of burning the DSM-4 and the DSM-5. And he said, yes, maybe. And I said, you're probably right. I probably can't burn it on the video and do that, but maybe I can read it and rip the pages out. And then I'm just so over that book. It's there to institutionalize creative geniuses, like you said.
It really is.
All the names they throw at you is in that book.
Exactly. What they do is, and I'll name a name, Caitlin Farrell, who was sold out and bought out after doing a diagnosis of Tom's great, genius, whatever, totally got after 12 sessions that, yeah, he did what he wrote, and then bought out and never saw me again and did exactly what they wanted, the FBI wanted. And it's like unbelievable that, she said, you'd be protected now. Last thing we said, you'd be protected. And then she sold out and bought out. It's like the psych field, the FBI works with the psych field now. They have blended. And that scares me because that was done in Stalin's time and in Hitler's time. They have done that. They are predecessors that have done that, preceding this country's methods. And now the FBI is perfecting it, using the psych field to put any one of us away at any time. As you said, geniuses will now be locked away. And, and they even use the phrasing, sure, he's very convincing, or she's very convincing. Well, are we convincing because of the facts and the evidence? How is that a detrimental thing that we're convincing? Aren't we supposed to be convincing when our lives are on the line and we're supposed to show the evidence? Unbelievable. Unbelievable what we have stepped into. And it's time now. I would love to see FBI heads and operatives and psych personnel that I know of evaluated, including my sister. I'd love to see them evaluated. They're the ones that are frantically bursting out and get away with everything they do and acting manic. It's like enough with deception, enough with the body armor, body cams, automatic weapons piling into your home, where you've told ahead of time, oh, the party's aggressive. Where you're preparing meals for your elderly members of your family and your child, and you're helping them get ready for the school the next day. And what have you done wrong? Nothing. They get to say whatever they want. We have this country, and the personnel in this country, especially in elects, are under an iron fist, an iron grip. And it's got to stop. It's got to stop. We are in a crisis period.
Yeah, if anybody doesn't believe what we're saying, just look at the movie MK Ultra. That's based on what really happened, I believe, in the 60s.
And those around us. I mean, I've had 6 attempts done on me, 6 attempts. That doesn't count the highway attempts. This is our own government agencies. And why are they doing it? To protect themselves, they said. They're protecting themselves. What, against intellects? From creatives? And they actually justify taking the creative material. They justify working with Hollywood to take the intellectual property that's worth so much money. Why? 2 points they make. Because they can. That's amazing. What a great comeback. Because you can. And because they're protecting themselves. How are they protecting themselves? How are they protecting themselves? Against authors that are trying to write stuff to enliven the world. Why? Because they feel they won't be necessary in that world? Doesn't make any sense.
Celeste wrote here, we're being ruled by the insane.
Yes, that's true. Very
That's
true. We are the top elite are afraid of losing their status, losing their position, losing their power. That's what they put their attorneys to work on. The main job of the attorneys of the elite is to protect and maintain the wealth of the elite. Not about beneficial things. Not about that at all. Not about contributing to society. It's about protecting their wealth and position.
Yeah, I just put right now that it's like we're living in real life Gotham City right now. You know, the criminals are running the city. And earlier today, when I was driving home, I sent Veronica a picture of a car, and it had, you know, the Batman symbol, and then like their car plate thing said Gotham City, and I'm like, yeah, we're pretty much in Gotham City right now.
And you raise a very good point, because in that Joker series, which they actually put my name throughout the thing, and the 7 2s on the clock, and that one also, Universal Studios, which got my work. But the thing is, like, they just keep stacking it. That's supposed to drive me away from you guys and come home. They call it coming home, to work with them. And I would hate to see myself working against the good people, the genuine people, the remnant, the ones that are lone wolves and benevolence. I would hate to be employed to bring you down. I'd be very good at that job. I'd be very good at it, but I wouldn't have the heart for it, and I'll never do it. But they know I'd be good at it. So that's a little chilling.
Because
but
we're
the thing is,
very
yeah,
convincing, and we're very
very convincing. Yeah, then they'd be praising me for that. That's such a good point. They'd be praising me for that, going like, "You are so convincing. You're so good." Yeah, instead of, "We're going to put you away because you're so convincing." Yeah.
Well, that's what I was telling Celeste earlier too. It's like, remember that we have our powers, that we came into this world by speaking. Our voices are like angels, right? Angel songs are, we each have a frequency, our energy, you know, frequency, energy, vibration, especially when we're really high vibing, to convince people. And then you use the code words that come from your heart, right? And we can help people break apart from the negatives. But what do the negatives do? The negatives, they were also like us, but went to the other side. And are now, this is the war that we're in. You know, I was telling her as well, it's like, this is not our war. We got stuck here somehow. And now we are the guardians of the galaxy. They're here standing by the other humans, right? We're in God form, angel form, whatever form we want to be in, whatever, you know, but our true self is the bioluminescence full of love that we want others to break free and wake up. Like, I really don't like to wake up, but
You draw me back to the image of the party. We're in a boring party.
right.
French doors. Oh, throw those French doors open and let's have some air and let's go celebrate and form our own party. It's like this is the world construct they set up is we work ourselves to death. They take what we have, and we're confined and mocked. And it's just, I'm tired of it. Like Chad was saying, I'm tired of being mocked by those of such little intellect, small brains. I'm tired of being mocked by morons, you know, and I don't want to be in their realm. I don't want to be in their functioning realm. So it'd be nice to have a fresh start, and we can show what we can do. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Chad. Sorry.
There's something I wanted to talk to you for quite a while, and Veronica just kind of mentioned on it with our tone and our frequency and everything. Because this is something that's haunted me for a long time, that I wanted to have a personal discussion with you on the side at one point, like between creators on something, because some of the words that I use, I have to use the vocabulary that's been given to us. And some of that is like, say, you know, like blessed, the word blessed, when you look it up, that's one of the strongest words I have in a song, but it's quite a bloody word and it doesn't quite mean what it wants. So then I have that ask, integrity wise, can I use this word? There's no replacement for it. Well, something finally clicked, and somebody said something about, I think it was Alana Del Rey they were talking about, and they're saying she's a light, you know, is what they believe. And they're like, even though she writes her songs and creates it, and the Illuminati does to her songs what they do, there's still something that comes through in them that we hear. So even like your work, though, is blasphemized and spread all over the place, there's something still pure in there that we can feel and hear, and it still triggers us. So I think it's okay to write with those words and to write with those things because of our. I don't want to be limited in what I can say.
It's your energy.
I'm like,
You put out there.
yeah,
Your intention.
exactly, and that's the way I feel. I'm like, okay,
right?
even if I use these words, and even if I'm confined in this system, there's still an energy and a frequency that the light workers are going to hear, even if the industry takes it and uses it for their means.
That's very interesting because I was thinking too, you can take the words that are established, we're very limited vocabulary, and you can hit them in a different way so they mean something different. It's like I see many examples where you take the word and you emphasize certain parts of it and instill intentionally a different meaning to it in the context of what you're saying, apart from its standard definition. And that's kind of fun, spinning the word to have it in a new light with a new kind of alternate meaning. And that's kind of fun. That's wordcraft. And yeah, another level. So I enjoy that too. And seeing if people get it, you know. So there's a game I would play too, where I would say a sentence and purposely use the wrong word in the sentence. But what you said, like during that lecture, make it sound very authoritative and connected when I know it's not. And I'll do that with children too. And they'll point out, I'll say every sentence, there'll be a word that's going to be wrong, or in the story, you know, every page will have a story word wrong, point it out, you catch it. And so I'll do it and change a word. And they'll go, no, that word. And so you keep people sharp by that kind of game too. But yeah, anyway, there's a whole lot I could talk about that, but that's kind of off point. But yeah.
Well, maybe we could talk about that the next show. You want to do another show?
Yeah. No, I appreciate you guys so much. This is really good to, you know, it's so refreshing to talk to other intellects and creatives and empaths and things like this. It's just like, it means the world. It means the world, because the whole tactic is isolate, alienate, and mock and shut down. So they do a system where the only ones that praise you are the ones that where you're committed are coming in and saying, we know you really did what you did, and we know it's not fair what's going on, but we're fans of what you did. Wow. You know, it's like, and why am I here? It's like, yeah.
They do it on purpose to try and confuse you, but you know better, Tom, and we do too.
Yeah, sticking in your room with 303. Yeah, it's amazing. I have seen it all. And they're trying to impress you at the same time. Those that are employed to bring you down are also trying to impress you. I wouldn't be surprised if the guys that were trying to run me off the road were actually taking pictures as mementos. So it's like, you know, it's like they are fans of what you've done, but they're employed to kill you. And they had it set. You talk about the highway incident. My son was there in the front row seat, back of the van, front row seat, to see his dad die. That's pretty heinous on the day when Christ was in hell. They're trying to be clever.
Right. The day that Christ was in hell is pretty much the Saturday before he rose. Because I remember growing up, my parents, I was Catholic, and I could not go out with my friends or dance or drink or do anything on that Saturday. It was considered holy, and God forbid you did, you know. So, and we couldn't be, you know, we couldn't be happy until that Sunday. We had to be sad on that Saturday.
Right.
You know, then the Friday came, and they do this thing where they darken the Friday before the Good Friday wannabe, you know, and then they darken it, and then it becomes windy. And then Saturday is supposed to be gloomy. And then Sunday, here's the sun. Here's the sun. Give me your 10%. Give me your tithe. Jesus rose. You know what I'm saying? Now you can be happy. Now you can eat, be a glutton, and drink, and eat all the meat you want, eat all the chocolate you want. Right. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, you made me good. You're making me think about the allegations that we got from this Goldman report. From the attorneys that actually switched up and gave us the information. They made us pay for it, but they actually gave us the information was being held back. And in it, I was amazed at what I was being accused of. And citizens should be very aware of this, especially intellectual citizens or creatives. If you look at the charges that they tried to levy on me, they didn't have anything they could come up with, right? So what I was accused of, actually, what they paid a certain person to say, was that I was in a murder-suicide pact where I was going to kill my son, and my son didn't know I was going to do this. And they were going to use that to reprogram Aiden later, saying, look, your dad was going to kill you. He didn't even tell you. He was going to kill you in a murder-suicide pact. We know this. He said this. And then the other attachment was he thought he wrote The Matrix. He thought he wrote a screenplay. Here's the bad version. He thought he wrote a screenplay. And since I do have it, that's why I was being committed in the criminally insane for life, because I said I wrote this. That's the reason. Isn't that something?
I
All the
totally,
evidence.
I totally believe you, Tom, because, and this is personal, all right? So when I was a kid, my dad had taken his life. I was 13. And that year, my mom, I came home one day and she was crying in front of the TV, and I'm like, why are you crying? Oh, because this lady decided to drown her children and then killed herself. And she said, I was planning today on buying a gun and killing you and your sisters and then me.
Oh my God.
They do that. They do that kind of bull crap. You know what I'm saying? And
see, that's the thing. What they do is they plant. I'm so sorry to hear that. They plant doubt on you. So by them accusing that, everybody in the world has to run it by. Everybody being judged, and everybody has to be, you know, ridicule and throw the stones in the cabbage. And it's like, by saying that and bringing SWAT teams, they're making it stick when you never did it. It doesn't matter that I've done, how many interviews have I done in my life? And have I ever said anything on an air? Would it come out then? If I was going to make a threat or something or make do harm, wouldn't it come out in an interview? I mean, 2 hours long sometimes, 3 hours long sometimes. Never, ever. But the thing is that they pay people to say it, and they brag about the rewards, and it's like they can do that to anybody. That needs to stop. That needs to stop. And then they go silent. They let that stick on you. They let it stick on you, and then people go around judging you as if, you know, oh well, maybe he was going to do this. Like, no way in hell. You know, especially if you have a son who just graduated 4.0, a high honor society, pals, has just been asked to play the piano now in the concert group. Soccer, scored the last goal. I mean, it's unbelievable what Aiden's done. And he's achieved all this with me as his mom and dad. I don't think there was any chance that there was any harm intended, especially when I did a safety plan. Last thing we did was a safety plan saying Aiden was my life, basically, and I want to see him succeed and love life. They blocked that in the process to put me away. They didn't let me have it. They blocked it from being seen to try to make it stick. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how far the FBI and the CIA goes. And again, there'll be a better world when they're disbanded and the heads of the FBI and CIA are brought as crimes against humanity, criminal charges, let them serve their time, and let the poor know who was their greatest enemy. That was the FBI and the CIA.
all I'm gonna say is Judas Priest, heads are gonna roll.
Yeah,
Right?
they failed on the shot on me. Like Chad said, I'm going to finish the job. I'm going to make sure they see that justice is served here. I'm not going to stop and let them just walk away. They do crimes and then try to walk away. I'm not going to let them walk away. And that goes for my brother-in-law, who was screaming at my mom to have me put away and stuff like this, and did the most terrible things. Now he's claiming to be a Christian and wanting to date this other woman and get on with his life, and as if nothing happened. No, Andy Zarco's accountable for what he did to Aiden, to my mom, to myself. Andy Zarco's accountable. You just don't walk away and pretend to be clean.
He's trying
Same
to
with
wash
Todd
his
Hilsey.
hands. Yeah. Wash
Yeah.
his hands like right
That's a
before.
tactic. That's a
Yeah.
tactic. Same with Todd Hilsey. Todd Hilsey, my cousin, who helped in the New York job being taken away, had great jobs. And then was part of that accusation process, the allegations. Now he's doing the Forge Theater in New York, New Jersey, New York border, and bragging about his accomplishments, all the rewards he got. Todd Hilsey, an alcoholic and depressant. It's like, I mean, they pick these people and then they feel like they can just walk on after doing incredible harm and federal crimes. So yeah, give you Todd Hilsey. Unbelievable. It just festers. It's like a cancer that grows. And our society becomes conditioned to doing wrongdoing and being rewarded for it, including judges and attorneys. So let's turn that around and make it so that we have a healing society and a good society where good is fostered and justice is served and due process is warranted and allowed.
Yeah, I will go ahead and end with this, and then I'll let you guys say something. But that movie again, Ragnarok, with Thor, when he's praying in the church, he's praying for his superpowers to be taken away, because he doesn't want to be we'll say the guardian of the galaxy, that he is to be. Okay, so he's praying for these abilities to go away while they're putting the Loki's father, right? They're taking him to be buried, and so boom, the window is broken with thunder, and then he loses his power. So someone, which is actually his father in the movie, told him, "You were praying to these gods, and you were actually being weakened." That's what they want here, you guys, on Earth, is they want you to pray to these false gods to weaken your power. We got to take our power back. Go within, guys. Go within your heart. So that's what I'm going to end with, and then you guys can go around the room and say any last.
Chad. Chad's next to you, so on the screen.
Okay. Am I? No, I'm not on my screen.
I see.
I'm always shocked when I rewatch these and I look back, because it's always different than what I'm seeing on the screen. Yeah, I'm getting ready to start up that platform that I mentioned a while ago. I just bought the URL, and I have the website, and I now have the YouTube and everything getting ready to start up, and it will be called Sigmata. You can find it on YouTube at Sigmata, at House of Sigmata, and then on the actual .com is going to be houseofsigmata.com, and it'll be called Sigmata Blog. And I have this goal. I think everybody knows. I want to really map out the playing field and just figure out who the pieces and the parts are. And the other goal that I have is to basically just prove that 90% of academia is incorrect. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. And then I'm going to be exposing a lot of things throughout. So that's where I could be found. And just continuing what's being done here from the angle of a Sigma male, because I do have a slightly different perspective than most. And so that's what I'm working on right now.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I can still remember the first day you contacted me. And
I've been blue pilled this whole time. I've had to work for it. I mean, between internet, having to get myself into a new location, having to, get the work schedule worked out, having to do everything that they've thrown at me. And by they, I mean the ones above the dome, because this is controlled beyond the ones, the idiots that think they're in control, So I'm excited to move forward with that finally, now that it's in the process. And thank you.
Yay. Miss Celeste, and then Tom, how can you? Tom will be at the end, that way you can, elaborate a little bit more. So Celeste, how can they get a hold of you, and any last words for today?
I guess I'm just gonna say that, we're gonna fuck up, and we're gonna do some things that we never thought we would ever do towards people, and today really surprised me and just showed me that I need to marry integrity. I need to make integrity my husband. So that's what I'm going to be working on, because how can people trust me and have any kind of faith in me if I'm not living that? So as of today, I just completely renewed, resetted. That's what it felt like today. Like I was reset. I feel like she did hit my reset button, dude. Like that's exactly what it feels like. So I'm not on socials anymore. I had to unplug from that matrix. Like it was just fucking me up too bad. So the only way is just through my email, just celesteparo@gmail.com, and that's it. And if there's someone out there that's going through this and they need some sort of help, I'm here to help, because I'm living it right now. So we can go through this together.
Thank you, Celeste. I'm very proud of you. Thank you, Mama.
Thank you.
And Mr. Tom.
Yeah, so my email, basically I'm down to my email. Everything else is being cut. So it's like the trueman show @gmail.com. And one of the things I wanted to point out, just of interest that came to me today, was particular gentleman who was well rewarded, my cousin. He had said to me something that others in the players had said to me, and it's interesting how they try to farm you. They said, listen, since you wrote the work, we know you wrote the work. Maybe the public doesn't realize it, but you wrote, yeah, we wrote it. Just write another one. And I was like, oh, did that get me when they said that? Because I'm like, just write another one. I felt like I was repeating it, like, just write another one. Okay, so I wrote the screenplay. It made, what, billions for the people that stole it. I didn't see a dime. In fact, they saddled me with costs. And I'm just going to write another one? I don't think so.
I'm
So
sorry your
that-
child just died. Just have another one.
Just have another one. Yeah, thank you.
Just have
Yeah,
another
that's
one.
basically it. That's their cold reasoning. That's how they talk to you when they want you on the inside, but they're trying to, quote, destroy your life because you're on the outside. And they try to break you to remake you. And it's like, I'm not playing. So my response is, no, I'm not going to write another one. I've written other things, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pursue justice, and that's in the court of public opinion. I'm going to make sure this documentary's done, and that we go revealing those responsible. And these Arcos, Todd Hilsey's, you don't just walk away. So Julia Zarco, you don't just walk away. You're held accountable for what you've done because you've done it to humanity. The work was done for all of humanity. You're responsible for what you've chosen to do when you knew and said, yeah, you wrote the work. So anyway, that's where I'm at right now. I'm definitely getting off my butt and saying, let's get on the horse and let's wage war. So I'm not going to allow innocents to be harmed. And since the work was meant for everybody, all innocents, then I'm going to champion that cause to return it to them. And like I said, when this is all done, I'm going to put the copyright in other people's names, the public's names. I'm going to put a blanket universal thing where it's their property. They can do whatever they want with it, and it'll be restored to the people. So I think it's a good way to start. But I'm definitely going to hold on to the sovereign nation idea. But thank you for this. Thank you.
Anytime, Tom. Now, is it 77 the Truman Show at gmail.com or without
That's
the
right. 77. You're right. 77 the True Man Show at gmail.com.
77 the Truman Show at gmail.com. Thank
That's
you,
right.
everyone. And I'll go ahead and link the video that Chad has sent me about the CIA guy talking. And remember, he's not saying everything. He's holding back if you watch him. So I will link that there, and then you can reach me at Linktree. I think it's /Codebreaker Real Talk. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. See you later.